So, looking back at the Egyptians, any other type of life forms that have been on the planet, you'll notice a theme, a current theme come from them all. And it is more or less along the lines of God, religion, and different things like this, of this nature. And you often see them portray in symmetry,
Yeah.
which we call symmetry because we only see it in the. We see everything like we see the Earth, yes? And we see that it tilts this way, then this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're told. It does this, it does this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll say summer, northern hemisphere. Now it's summer, southern hemisphere, and different things like that. So you just see it as just A and B. So you would then look at that if you were to ask a child, or you see it described in any textbook, and it will show you the Earth as being this way, pole this way, pole this way. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So what do you get? You get a straight line.
Yeah.
Whereas you could more see it moving on its axis like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would, yeah. So rather than it being from A to B, you would more want to see it from A to B. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it can, on its axis, it can be a bit more tilt one way, tilt the other. And then when we see this, we could also see that it's longer, colder, and you can also see it as hot. We would say, I don't know, depths of winter or summer. And then we grow up believing that life is very much A and B, when in actual fact it's a bit more A and B, but it's a bit more like this.
Yeah.
This is also known as the infinity cycle. It's etched into everything, literally everything, if you just pay a closer mind to it. So we will look at this as dark and light, pole to pole. So we constantly get into a very narrow field of bandwidth. We were talking about in the last video about the mindset of being in between a sort of spectrum.
Yeah.
And then we look at religion. And we often seem to look at it as one God, demon. So we split it into two natures, right? So we split it into two hemispheres, which actually it's technically not. So we look at the universe and we think point A, point B. Again, it's not. It's this. It's a transition cycle. You have a cold start versus a hot start, goes into a cold start, hot start, and the hotter ratio, which you would say is the place where we'll have lots of stars. Again, if we think about it, space, although it's a vacuum, everything else like that, it's still very warmer with stars than without it. I mean, if you ever ask the question, and then we have a time of, let's say, gas. We'll just go with gas. We'll just keep it simple. Hydrogen, right? And then how much more colder do you think one is compared to the other? If you think about it, without stars, and it's just gas. What is gas when you ever touch gas? Have you ever touched gas before? A certain type of gas?
Yeah.
It's very cold.
Yeah.
The more you compress gas, the more colder it becomes.
Yeah.
It becomes really, really cold. Hence how you can get, is it hypersonic, subsonic? In order to get things to move fast, you have to compress gas in order to stop it from burning up. Yes, because in that fast speed, things get very hot. So you compress the gas and you counteract the ratio. Right, anyway, so, and we often see it as point A, point B, and let's say here, we've then got middle, and then we've got start, and then we've got finish. We often see it so much like this because We teach each other this. This is the strangest thing, that everybody is teaching everybody else start, middle, and end. We don't ever see it as a cycle. Now, anything that is governing the whole of the universe. So I don't see it as a point, start, middle, and end. I don't see that. I see a cycle, and it's an evolving cycle. So if you draw arrows on here, from stars back to gas. So you have fusion and you have defusing black holes. Defuse. Stars fuse things together. When you defuse, things get a lot colder. When you fuse things, they get hotter. It's just very interesting, really. Except for when you pressurize gas, but there's a little bit more of a difference to this in this instant. Naturally found in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Lack of the pressure. And then in this lack of pressured environment, you then have pressure. Again, it's the whole duality of everything, but it's more cycling. So you have a star and a load of planets. You have mass, pressure, matter. But then in its destruction, and another destruction, you create something new out of that. That's a cycle, cycle, cycle. If you're here long enough, you get to see it. If you're not, you're going to take it with this sort of belief system. So everything is more of a cycle of a lot of happening very fast, and a slow amount of black holes tend to, I don't know, check it out on the other video, just keep it in short. Black holes come together and explode, usually as one. Implode, explode, whatever you want to call it. Do what you will. Stars are very much single. Not afraid to die on their own. Yes, and scatter there. We often see galaxies falling apart from one another. And some of them coming together. But what appears to be moving away could be falling into something that's out of your visual range. Can't see further enough, can't see far enough to know what is beyond that envelope. And then the different brightnesses and stuff, and then we got darkness, light. Nocturnal creatures, and creatures that are awake during the day. I don't know what that's called now, but whatever. You see, you've already got the yin and yang. I often ask a question about that. That if the Earth is slowly moving and elapsing, and soon the hemispheres switch from which one becomes light and dark, it sort of moves. Do the animals evolve to, are they truly, basically what I'm trying to say, how can I explain that? That eventually, give enough time, that the hemispheres should switch. Yeah, but it's such a slow process, would you even notice it? Let's say if it happened instantaneously, you would be getting up and going to work during the night, and owls would come out during the day, if it happened fast. Where do you draw the line with that? Most animals seem to shut away during night. Fewer are out at night. It's a very interesting sort of way to think about it. As a Mimi said, do owls have nightmares, or do they have daymares? If they were ever, it's a good question. It's a good question, but again, I guess it's built in her understanding at the moment, which is still developing, is the belief that with that logic, if I didn't stretch it into her a bit more, would be just give her enough to figure it out herself. That nightmares are not associated with night. You can still have a bad dream, I'd like to say, during the day. If you were to sleep during the day, you could still have a bad dream. So it's not associated with night, but you can see how very easily indoctrinated you can be when you keep using the word. Nightmare meaning demons, demonic presence. So the belief is they only come out when it was dark, right? So, but not. It's going to come out when you're asleep, if you believe such a thing. But I think what she means when she says that is bad dream. But it's just been, over history, it's been called a nightmare. Anyway, so we have a lot of these cycles, right? the planet's movement. And how do you know the planet's movement? It's really hard to tell when you've got moving poles.
Yeah.
Well, then you have a look at the sun. The sun's strange trajectory. And again, keep an open mind because it could be something completely different. After all, maybe it is a flat Earth and everything is this way, right? Okay, but again, the stars, it seems very unlikely. And maybe the planet is stationary. It's possible, but you live in that duality. We never think that it's a spectrum. And then when we look at the universe, we don't understand that it's a cycle. And the light that is burnt, let's say, in the light time, which travels with your imprint in it. You've been outside, the light has hit you and cast past the planet. If you could zoom into it, which is, I think, decoding it, any other civilization out there, if we were to put a telescope up and it was capable of copious amounts of zooming, blurring out the light from the star, but picking out the light that bounces from the planet or emanates from the planet and anything in it. Oh, look, I can see people in there. It seems very far-fetched, but again, this light's traveling out and traveling and traveling and traveling, and then you have until the end of the cycle. The black hole will definitely take that, and then it's it. The Polaroid's gone. No, not the Polaroid. The negative has been absorbed. So, you know, when we're looking at religion and different things like that, because we were on that, the one that's very odd to me is the Egyptians. It looks like some sort of satanic ritual. Yeah, I don't believe it's a tomb that was built for the pharaohs to die inside. To me, it looks like it's remnants of some type of takeover. Here in Britain, I think there was the Celts, whatever. You know what I mean. And everyone was quite peaceful, doing what they needed to do, and then the old tales have come in and taken over. We're going to take this over and admit control. Where do you think that control stems from?
I don't know, someone just tasted the feeling of telling others what to do and...
No, but it's like I was asking you the other day, yes? Okay, at the moment, you're presented in the world with two alternates. Do you know what they are? By design, you're put in, you only know two ways. Isn't it odd? It's very dual, isn't it? Duality, you've got two ways. Do you know what they are? It's okay to say no, it's all right to be, it's okay. It's a one in a so many chance that you pick it up. There's no right or wrong answer to it. It's just whether you see it. Well, does it narrow it down?
I'm not sure. You don't understand.
Dictator communism, democratic society.
Oh, I see.
Is there any more that you know about? You'll say imperialism. But again, is it really all that? Do you get to vote between? No.
Imperialism would be more like dictatorship, and it's the true imperialism.
Okay, so again, you could have imperialism. What else have you got? Again, it's still a branch, subset.
Imperialism or
Freedom.
Freedom, yeah. Capitalism would be probably, it can be in both, but more in dictatorship, isn't it? Because only some people can.
When you look at these two alternate facts and the lack of critical thinking in the world, one says one is bad, one says the other is bad. But is that a true, accurate way to view that? If you think about it, see, the problem is with this, you're right and you're right, but you're also wrong and you are also wrong. Why is that?
Because nothing is black and white.
Because
Nothing is just good or bad, 100%.
yeah, exactly. Why? Because
Not
would
for
you say
everyone.
what happens if you looked at communism with a fresh set of eyes and said, what are all the good points about that?
True communism should be really good,
Right.
shouldn't
So
it?
you can then start focusing on most of the good things in this side, and you can also focus in on the good things on this side.
Yeah.
And ideally, you could build something completely new by incorporating with critical thinking a brand new system that can take the best of both out of there and stick it in. And likewise, you could take the best of the bad from out of these, and you could also create something, again, that's new. And then what would you have? Well, votes that would then lead to this thing called cycling. Then, is that all of it? Is that all of the answer? If you think so, then you had a which sounds really weird. A communist democratic society.
I know that in the times of communism or socialism, some countries were called like peoples.
Oh, the People's Party.
Yeah, People's Party, or
And what did they do for the people?
isn't China's called something like that?
Could be.
Republic of People or something like that.
And again, we could add that in as well. Is that why it's called CCP?
I don't know. Is it called CCP?
No, I'm not sure. I'm just...
I don't know.
Anyway, I'm going to put that down anyway. If you're going to say that that's a difference, well, we'll go with that. And again, is this the end of the cycle? Can I go again? Well, yeah, I could take the goodness out of this one, this one, this one, and now this one. And now if I've got lots of critical thinking, and everybody has lots of critical thinking, you can make something even more better out of that.
Don't Scandinavian countries have some model that is more socialistic, which kind of still supports capitalism, and they have monarchy, but they are more oriented at social problems, so they help people with lower incomes and ill people and people with social problems more than other countries? Isn't there somewhere on that spectrum?
Yeah, keep going. I'm just going to put this here just so I remember a few points for myself, just to so I come back to that. And if I draw this, I will come back to this one as well. Yep, go on.
That's what I wanted to say.
So is that the end of the cycling then?
It still continues.
I can still continue. You can
Yeah.
still continue. And then, what does this stop? Well, the first thing is stagnation.
Yeah.
At the moment, we are here in the United Kingdom, we balance between the two. Labour Conservatives, Lib Democrats. It gets political because this all formulates to this. But, and then sometimes Labour Conservatives, little bit of UKIP. You see the trend here?
That is long-term stagnation here, but these last few years are really like felt a lot, aren't they? Like stagnation.
You'll get a few things with UKIP, no doubt. But you're not going to get it all.
And it's not gonna change much the structure anyway, is it?
No, I don't think it will. No, of course
exactly.
it won't. It almost seems puppeteered in my way of seeing
Stagnation will continue even with them.
It's just the odd spanner in the works here and there, you know.
Yeah.
Look, we are capable of.
Yeah.
It's an illusion. It's a new illusion being
Yeah.
created.
Czech Republic has party similar to that. Yeah.
It's
trying to get there.
I don't know. Some would say that communistic countries would take out their opposition leaders. Is China kept in the family?
Family.
Do they have it voted out? One leader's voted out, one is replaced, or is it in a family tradition, a bit like
Right now, the president that's there is for life.
Okay, and his children take over?
Don't know that because that's first there.
Right, okie dokie. So, North Korea.
North Korea is in the family.
So that is a kingdom.
Sort of, yeah. Some kind of monarchy or kingdom, I don't know.
That's a
Yeah.
kingdom.
Yeah.
No, whichever way we look at that, that's a kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, you're going to get change with that. It's going to be very slow. One's going to be more into this, one's going to be more into that. I'm not saying that it's right nor wrong. I'm just saying that what is a good point with that? What is a good point with this? What is a good point with that? You never know. Kim Jong-un and his family could create a government. Think about it. They could make a government and then sort of stand away.
Yeah, he's continuing in something that his father and grandfather built. So in a way, there is continuation of the model or system or whatever you would call it. Well, it's not probably very good because people don't seem.
Creates government, creates county council, creates a district council. This creates, don't blame me, blame them, don't blame them, blame them, don't blame me, blame them, don't blame them, blame me, blame this one, blame this one. You're protected. When this one falls, this one falls, this one falls, brings you back to the front. This one is in power from what? An independence? Magna and Carta?
Magna Carta is here, isn't it? It's British.
But where does this idea come from, to be a king? Which is an off-branch to be a government. Which is off-branch to be the head of a county council. Which is off-branch to be the managing director of a council.
It starts with small kingdoms that originally there is not even king.
All of these
But
require money, and
Yeah.
a lot of it.
Yeah.
In order to prop up this, in order to prop up this, in order to prop up this, in order to prop up this.
Yeah.
All of these require money, and a large amount of it. This shit ain't free.
Yeah. Yeah.
None of this, to keep this going, is not free.
Yeah, it starts with small, like when you had city kingdoms in the long, long past, and then there were someone had more, whatever, money or gold or something, and then they conquered some or bought some and got bigger, 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 and then you have these kingdoms that are big.
Yeah, and these take from these take from these take from these take from what? All of these? Don't quote me if I'm wrong. I mean, I could be.
Yeah, they do.
But where'd you get all of that idea from?
Because the law or whatever was written or agreed upon.
Wasn't agreed upon by the population. This was written by these ones. That soothes and serves their purpose only. Nobody else's.
So there's something like tolerating, or I don't know how to call it.
But where does all of that come from, do you think? And anyway, so we were talking about Egyptians, and this is very fascinating to me. The Egyptians almost appear, the ancient Egyptians, right? We're talking about the pyramids and different things like that. That is a sacrificial ritual that's happened there. It's almost purposely done, and some families back know about this, hence why they've gone in and taken all of the...
So was it in even the older pyramids than Giza pyramids then?
Yeah, I think this is throughout history, but when we look at history, we'll see that there's this common theme of God,
Yeah.
good, bad,
Yeah.
and build together in order to achieve. When we look at all the rest, there is no other burial ground. When we look at the Mayans, where's the trace of the Mayans? Is there mummified Mayans? Can you find the ancient Mayans?
I don't know about that. Never heard about
Well, we
that
see these
myself.
elongated skulls, but other than that,
But are they Mayans or someone else?
indeed, indeed. But yet these were built in the sand, hidden in the sand.
Yeah.
I don't think these were seen first off straight away. I don't think these had to remove the sands. Well, I think they built the pyramids in a lot of processes using water and breath work. When you're in water, you can pick up an awful lot of stuff, especially if you've got a lot of you doing it. If you've never tried it, it's absolutely fascinating, but you've got to take in a lot of air.
Yeah.
So you have to do an awful lot of breath work. And then you can go under the water for long periods of time,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
settle the mind down, and you have to get into a slight of torpor. But you can do this by increasing the blood flow. Some people will sit there and just calm everything down and slow down the ratio of. But again, this will allow you to dive deep, but it won't allow you to pick up heavier objects for long periods of time because it requires the lack of movement, whereas the muscles require oxygen
Yeah.
so you have to build up with oxygen. And close to a Nile, you would use the sand to create sand banks. This is why we have sandbags. And you would flood the Nile, but use the sand around the outside. You need a lot of people to do this. Then when you begin to make a dam, you can then start backing up the Nile River, which then creates it to start pouring out. So if you've got a river and across the Nile, there are these types of stonework that's there that no one knows what they're for.
Yeah.
Well, if you keep on adding to this, you begin to back up the water. And when you back up the water, if you've got the sand either side of it, you can have that water, cause that water to start backing up. When you do so, you then begin to flood an area, and it gets deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
Well, cutting the rocks, moving the rocks would be much more easier.
Yeah.
Transporting them, you use the river. No ifs or buts needed, and you can either use tools that you can attach to the large stone, and with a lot of breath work and one step, while standing on one step, you can get under the water, and as long as the object doesn't break the surface, a lot of you can lift up massive blocks very easily. If a large amount of you get underneath it and lift it, you can lift this bit by bit. There's one. Okay, it's going to get higher. And do you know what else is really fascinating with this? When the water recedes, because of the mineral content in water, if you put two near enough perfectly good carved objects, if you smack it, you'll see in that video the other day where someone was smacking those rocks and how easy it was coming off.
Yeah.
Do that in a line and smack it, and you'll get the same effect. Nature usually, you get a fault line, or you'll get a line in it, and it follows this because of the vibration print. Once you've got this off, you can use a lot of stuff, but you have to bring it. And I think Egyptians were pretty good with boats. They are obsessed with floating things. Not uncanny that they would understand them buoyancy. But if you tie something to something else, it might not float all the way, but you can move a lot of stuff using it. Again, this is how they built the Abbey in Wyndham. No different. Float it all down, right? Can you believe they built that using, and what did they use as scaffolding? Trees. Trees. If you've got trees strategically planted, what can you build in that? What can you build in that? By climbing the trees, rock by rock, right?
Yeah.
Using the tree itself. All of churches seem to be the size of trees anyway. When you get to the top of the tree, there you are. What do you do afterwards? Take out the tree. cut it down. There you go. You can then start to make massive things without the need of modern machinery, scaling up and down, up and down, up and down. If you get the right people working in the right way, teamwork, whilst some are bringing, some are putting, some are putting, some are putting, some are this, some are mixing, some are taking this up on their back, whatever. You can even pull it using pulleys and ropes and different things like that. This is so easy to do.
Yeah.
And again, if you know to then put a tree this way across the, get to the top and cut it, and they're all a relatively good size, and you put another tree across and another tree across, I mean, you've got a hell of a platform where you can begin to build up. And this can move up the tree as you go. Each platform, you get a little bit higher. I mean, if I was a mason back in the day, that's how I do it. Especially when being in a forest, you'll notice something that stands out if you're paying attention to patterns. There were those certain trees that I've shown you where they are natural, but they are much in alignment, whereas I drew it out on the floor with you by moving away the leaf matter in the area and said, look, I could build a church here using these trees here. And they're all a good size, which will also give me a steeple as well. Admittedly, you'd have to stop at one level in order to say, right, that's the main building, but these ones go further up. I'd build it that way. Group of people, hey, do you want to help me build something? What's in it for me? Well, this, and this. Where did you get that idea from? Well, I don't know, God. I feel this divide. Anyway, it doesn't matter whether you can take it that way or this way. You can also build a castle with this as well. This whole process can be done very easy. It just needs willingness, and there's your know-how to do it. It's pretty easy when you know how. How do I get the stuff there? Well, I need this near a river. Well, lo and behold, there is one. Well, it's not deep enough. Well, let's block it. We can make this deep. We can make this flood the whole area if we need to, which then means that bringing something from further up, which if you follow the river up, even if digging into the river, you'll find all of this stuff that you need along your journey, whether downstream or upstream, it doesn't really matter. You can find this, and you can affect the flow of the water. You can also make it a lot lower so you can grab all of this stuff out. And if you've got something that is able to float, I mean, when we look at these liners, these tankers that go across the ocean, where do you think all that comes from? That understanding, that logic from that? And have you seen how much sheer weight they can take with those? Do you know how heavy those cargo containers are?
Yeah.
Containers are.
Yeah.
How many can you get on there? I mean, come on. Doesn't take a lot. Yeah. So if you can do that with that, you can quickly calculate. Look at what you could do with a canoe. Then that would be a type of canoe. One is pitted out, and it becomes the bottom. And then you hollow out another tree in the same circumference, because you just want the outer sides. And then you apply this to the next tree, this to the next tree, this to the next tree. What's most fascinating with this, with pyramids, is when the water goes down again. Yeah. You will. Oh man, it's really interesting that how when you get two rocks, take two pieces of slate, smooth them down. Put them in some water and put them together and take them out of the water. What's the first thing you'll notice they'll do when they dry?
They stick.
They stick. They stick really well. And what's more, the mineral content in between. Because water contains mineral content. And if you know that, which you can work out, I mean, I have not studied any of this. I've not looked into this. I haven't gone and looked in a book somewhere. This is just purely by thinking and experimenting whilst growing up. These types of experimentation. And then when I add more mineral content to the water, I get more of a better seal, like a type of cement.
Yeah.
And it's only in this area. And then all I need to do, if any of it does grow out the sides, like, there's just a bit too much there and it's caused the crystal. When I was adding the certain crystals to a certain amount of plaster, do you notice how all of that crystal content started growing out of the side of the plaster, and I had to remove it? Yeah. But once I got it all smoothed down very easily, I managed to join two objects together using this mineral content. Again, I didn't study for this. I thought, could I do that? Why, yes. The answer is yes. Yes, you can. and it's quite a strong bond. Interesting, but when I dropped this particular object, it broke elsewhere, not there. Whereas you'd think it would break there, being the weakest, but clearly that has turned out to be the strongest area because the crystals grew into this area. Because that's what they have done. They've grown.
Yeah.
They filled the space. And where this material that I put together was a bit more hollow in different areas, it broke there. It broke in the hollows, the hollow areas. Again, what a fascinating thing to discover. But there you are. And then that's how I think they will do the pyramids. And then I've taken you to that area where I made that boat. I didn't make a boat. I used all of some weird stuff. I enjoyed tying a couple of barrels that I found in this pit was just full of absolute rubbish. Everyone fills pits with rubbish. And I'm in there having a good old nosy around. I think I broke something on my bike, and I knew that there was some old bike bits down there, and I wondered if I could salvage. The answer was yes, but while I was there, I was distracted by all of this. You know, to everyone else, it looks like mess. To me, that's a freaking gold mine. That's a field day. And I was obsessed with the feeling of being in a old bathtub. It didn't look like a bathtub. It looked really weird, actually. It was a strange old shape for a bathtub. It wasn't like your custom. It was a bit more strange shape. I know why that is. I'm not going to say it because it would probably be quite offensive. But again, so there was this. And when I first got in it, no, it didn't really support very well. And that was something. So I needed something to stabilize that. It just wanted to the water, and then the thing becomes incredibly heavy to move it while I'm out of the water. But if I got in the water, I could lift this very easily. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it is.
Isn't that something that's very freaking strange? Anyway, so there was this caravan lid, but I wasn't content enough that it moved. Yeah, and it gave all of that. I couldn't believe that thing was it took it. I had freaking breeze blocks on it, a little radio, you name it. Like this thing was floating, right? It did have a hole this big in it, right? I don't know what that was for. Maybe an old aerial or something. It was like one of these old caravan lids. Just a little bit bigger than this. You've seen that, yeah?
Yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah.
Well, the thing that jammed that hole was a candle. The only thing was with that, if you put too much weight on it, the thing popped out. You had to kind of quickly melt it, and it was filled with water, but it took about a minute to actually fully sink, depending on what was on there, and then you're just sort of chucking everything. Or you get a bucket, someone else is like, oh my god, it's filling, man. That's something. That is something very strange. Jam it with a hose pipe, that's really weird. That is a strange phenomenon, but anyway, that is weird. Jam it with a hose pipe and put it over the side. Anyway, so I learned an awful lot from doing things like this, but I loved it. I loved the feeling and the sensation, and taking a remote control aeroplane. Oh my days! I couldn't afford the radio gear, right?
Yeah.
There's no way I was ever going to afford that radio gear. So it worked. It turned on, but it had no radio gear. You know, so all I could really do was anchor it to a fork in the garden, tie a piece of rope around it, get the engine to go. You know, now I had to understand the throttle thing. Well, that thing was really wanted to go. Drowned the thing in the beginning, but yeah, understanding fuel and stuff as well. But anyway, so just being there in these sort of areas and stuff, you learn to. Depends how desperate you were, really. The thing had actually sunk once. Well, it didn't. It was pulled up on the side, and because it's curved, it was pulled up on the side. It rained a lot, and the water crept in and also took the thing with it. Now, the thing was, I could lift it, but I couldn't get it to... as soon as I broke the surface, it then become, all of that filled with water. It was just too heavy to move it. So again, using my trusty fork, stab that in, tie a piece of rope to that handle part that was on there. It's still there to this day. I can't believe that is amazing. And then you tie a piece of rope to that, wrap it around the fork, And then when I managed to break the surface, I could then pull backwards with it because it took a little while to fall back down again. I mean, pretty weird. But just this process of doing that and pulling it, bit by bit, the water, it began to break out. The water was moving off with this process. So you learn to figure things out as you go, yeah? And then there was pressure, so you could stick something underneath it, or where that hole was as well.
Yeah.
That was interesting. And the pressure of that pushing on it, because of an experiment you see in school at one point where they take a cup and just the teacher used blotting paper, which didn't work very well. Oh, my days. And everyone got covered in water anyway. But yeah, so I think the pyramid's more done like this. But the thing that strikes me with it is it's almost deliberately... You've got humans that are guided by this inner force, right? And everybody has a different take on it, no matter where you look around the cultures or civilizations. But the current theme is there everywhere, yes? A religious understanding of some sort and a driving force, which we could say is the power of belief, whether it's the Incas. Inca Island, is it called? Where the statues, you've got it with the Egyptians, Mayans. Wait, the statues on Easter Island, is it Easter Island?
Easter Island, yeah.
Is that Incas? Not really sure. And then
No.
you've got some in Britain. You've got the Stonehenge. You've got an awful lot of driving force behind a lot of this. And it's always this driving force is associated with religion. Always. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
But the odd one out is the Egyptian pyramids. It's got mummies in it. But do you really think that they built those pyramids just for one individual? Doesn't look like it to me.
And it's odd because it comes to existence. Then there are the biggest pyramids, and then no other pharaohs after that use it again.
And it's almost like the people disperse.
Yeah. And then they are again using tombs underground, like before pyramids.
It almost looks like a type of individuals that were doing something amazing were then taken over, and someone tried to take out their leaders, shove them into these things hastily. And you could say, well, look at all of the sarcophagus and everything else. It's just very odd.
Yeah, and the large pyramid doesn't have any carvings in it, does no.
So it's very odd for my understanding. And then when we look at some other wooden pieces in there, they're like, oh, it's all but rotten. But these things survived? How did this survive, but that didn't? And that becomes very, that gets me thinking that it's almost like a takeover. To me, it looks like a takeover. You see, how you view God, the divine, the collective, whatever, the power of the universe, the whatever, anything that governs the universe, to me, it's a divot. It's a divot. There's a piece of it in everybody.
Yeah.
And to play kingdom is almost, to me, it appears that it's a mockery towards a more powerful force. It's a mockery. And then there's the whole hide it from everybody else type of thing. Again, ensures in my way of thinking, there's only one reason you would do that, but you wouldn't know it yourself, right? So you can't blame any kings, queens right now. But you might, because if they know about something, then this information has been passed down through generations, but the full truth of the scope hasn't been revealed. Perhaps not to them. You wouldn't be born into it. You, unless you're told it. And then you must have some sort of advisors. But where are they in it? Yeah, who are you, where is your how do you advise this and this, and then what's your in it for you to advise that, which then advises this, which then advises this, which then advise. I mean, and again, it seems like this whole control over this type of whether the tales of Jesus and that. I think he stood up to him. Honestly, I believe that there's more to this than meets the eye. And yeah, there's misinformation going around. Oh, it's not a true story. It's not this. It's not. I don't know. I don't know. No, I think that he was warning them. Something enough to disperse Romans anyway. There was more than enough there to the Roman Empire. It would have gave them something to think about. This is not all of it. To me, this is not the whole. Not everything is the full truth. And when I look at Christianity, it's not the full truth. Because there's a lot of things hidden.
Yeah.
Too much hidden and not revealed. You gotta ask yourself why. Why is that?
Yeah. Why is Bible the size it is, and all the other scriptures that exist are either lost, hidden, or whatever it happened to them, because more were written than are in the New Testament.
You know, and being a creator, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think the one thing you can do to piss it off, actually, I think there are many.
Yeah.
And I think it reflects back to you. And if you believe it to be a spirit, I think you'll see a spirit. This is what I'm on about when I say a divot.
Yeah.
It reflects back to you. And then with this whole duality cycling system leaves you to where do you formulate in that, this whole. And you can look at it as outer reality and inner reality. So we've also got that inner and outer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've got your inner light, outer light. You've got your inner thoughts, and you've also got your outer thoughts. Well, however you want to perceive that. Outer knowledge, inner knowledge.
Inner world,
Inner world, outer world, right? So so much of this is there, isn't it? Sort of an.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pieces of the puzzle scattered across the whole entire planet. But there's also a lot of blockages. I think that the biggest insult that you can give to a creator of a universe, let's say, destroy the fucking planet. I think that's one, right? Forgive my outbursts there, but it's just destroy the planet. It's like kicking the teeth to all life forms, right?
Yeah.
Because you feel that you are king among kings, which we would then look at as the universal.
Yeah.
Yep, God being the true king. Everyone says Jesus. Well, maybe. I think he came down and warned them. And I don't think they liked it. I think this made them very fucking uneasy. And again, spectrum-based. I'm sure it's an infinite spectrum of possibilities, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But don't you have a preferred existence? Like somebody else has a preferred existence and someone else has a preferred existence.
Yeah.
Not when you remove away everything you've been taught or indoctrined and anything else, right? When you've removed all of that and you go in yourself, everybody across the planet, if they were to do this, they would come up with their preferred, if they had critical thinking, free will to think.
Yeah.
Much like Boudica times, right? everyone was doing. And then if we take it from Stonehenge, you come with a divine presence to these individuals, let's say of the time.
Yeah.
And they all want to do it, but they all don't want to do the same job. They got this sort of divine wisdom within them that they've got this preferredness from it. There's a give, but they also want to take. There's something they want to take in response to that. So whether we look at it as Stonehenge, right? And again, that's in another video where everyone comes together. I'll hunt for you if you collect me water. Oh, I'll collect water and all of that, yeah, but you know, you bring me some food. Yeah, okay then.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, you know, says a female to the group. I'll go and collect firewood. Oh, okay then, I'll give you some water. I'll collect you some water too. I'll also hunt for you as well if you can collect the firewood for me to eat, to this, to then share, to then...
Yeah, to cook something.
And then what's in it for them? Well, I don't mind doing this, but I'm not very good at doing that. I don't want to do that. And then when you're in this whole community that starts to come together, and then you've got some that will go out and gather and do some stuff like that. And they perhaps alternate as well. So it's like all hands around deck, or all hands on deck, in order to utilize a piece of time in order to get a large amount of time back to perhaps do something else. And then again, when we see all of these yurts, is it called?
Yurts, yeah.
And the Boudica temples and shit, if you want to say that. The houses that come after Stonehenge look eerily similar to the same structure that
Yeah,
you've got.
they do look like that.
And everyone says, oh, they get all smoked out. It's really bad. It's really terrible. That's bullshit. That's a lie. That is a lie. It's either one, you're not building these correctly and you know it, or you're accidentally building it in order to give people the impression, well, it's because we found lungs. We found lung damage. You mean to tell me you found lungs? Oh, no, it's in the bone structure. Right. All right, then. I guess that came from that, then. You found some sort of, decay in some... Oh, I'm sitting there thinking, that's interesting. That is very interesting to me. But they've not been built correctly. The lack of colour. How everyone is taught how difficult it is. God, it's so complicated. Well, yes, because modern construction makes it look so bloody complicated. I mean, think about it. Modern construction, to build a house or build this or build that, it is so overcomplicated.
It is, isn't it?
It's overcomplicated for a reason. Well, you won't go and build a house then, will you? There's no way you're going to fuck off back to the woods, are you? Well, why is that? Well, because then I trap you in this.
Because then you will have smoked place because it doesn't work, does it?
And the lack
As they
of colour.
say. Yeah.
You mean to tell me that these people were sharing in a community, thriving, literally thriving, and they had time to carve needles out of bone?
Yeah, that must be really like for good eyes and good fingers work.
That means you had some time.
Yeah.
That means you were not running through the woods. This was not a hard time. This predates these yurts, by the way. Go and have a look in the museum. They're all there.
Yeah. I've seen some. Yeah.
These intricate carvings on pieces of wood.
But then if you look somewhere else than in Europe, for whatever they found, it is colorful. Like something from South America, if a piece of fabric was hidden somewhere and they found it, it's colorful.
You see, I think everyone lacks this knowledge that how many plants do you see scattered around? Nature is really colourful, especially when it gets going. And in the winter months, it's not so colourful. Do you not think that they were not trying to mimic that inside They were trying to mimic this whole coloration.
Yeah, use plants, use some minerals that have color, like I don't know what kind of stone that breaks easily and is maybe reddish or is different color. Yeah.
And you don't think that they were carving these things for other people? And I mean, when we see the carvings, you mean to tell me that they were plain walls around there? We look at pyramids, right? And we see all of that intricacy.
Yeah.
But yet here it's just bland.
No, that's nonsense.
And then the pyramids
They
were
never find
practically covered up. But yet you go to the Mayan temples and it's very bland.
Mayan temples or not.
Well, I
They
would
have
say,
carvings,
well, yes,
don't
they've
they?
got carvings, but the lack of anything else, it's almost like it's been moved out. And you could say that this is from looters and stuff like that.
And now when you think about what we were taught about Greeks and Romans, about their statues, and then you learn, oh my God, they actually painted the statues so they looked like living people, and they actually put clothes on them so they really looked like living people. How did they do it? What did they use? They had to use some specific colors to mimic skin color and stuff like that. Yeah.
How far back does that go? And
Yeah.
yet then when you place Boudica in this time, that seems rather modern. Certain things seem more modern than past times, and it's like, whoa. Even back at the turn of the Ice Age, just coming out of the Ice Age, you're seeing intricate... these people had time on their hands.
People had color, people had carvings, but when they find just a few like holes after some wooden poles, then they built something and then they pretend that it had no color at all.
To me, Stonehenge looks like it's been knocked down. It's been, whatever was there has been removed.
And then just look at our ancestors not that far back, maybe 200-300 years ago, at the houses, not palaces or something, at the houses, how nicely they painted their walls. They would have maybe white walls, but they would have nice flowers, decor, something, because they had to every year whitewash to make sure they were healthy, and then they would do their nice decor again. So I don't think that some older times were like gray and nothing there. That's nonsense.
But then we move into modern times and it seems almost like the light has gone.
Yeah, in modern times, it's like we are saying that anyone who lived before couldn't do this, couldn't do that, because otherwise, oh my God, what could we do if they could do that too?
And then if you apply this knowledge to modern times, you'll see space in a different way.
Yeah.
They had less people, but they had more time.
Yeah.
They were also quite talented.
Yeah.
They had this divine presence in them, in their drawings. They were really open to it. Nowadays, nah, it's just all gone. It's a divot. You spend your whole life, and again, everybody's got fear. Everyone's got fears.
It looks to me like with coming of Christianity, that was established much later than Jesus, obviously, all the old gods in Europe slowly disappeared and were replaced by Christianity, and suddenly all the colorful stuff is in cloisters, is in churches.
Yes, but wasn't Christianity here taken over by the monarch? Wasn't there people going around Henry VIII times, probably even back past all of this?
Yeah, much.
And they were
much
going
earlier.
back and they were taking land off of people, making them pay a tax,
Yeah, that's
forcing
what I'm
them,
saying.
and then using executions as a way to get that. I mean, how do you get from everybody working together to this carnage? I am the ruler of this God. Look what I've written. You will follow this.
Is
I am the king. Right?
it?
And when you see this type of behavior coming out, you'll see that this is, I mean, oh man, I wouldn't like to be you when you pass on. You want to hope and pray there is nothing beyond this. Because to claim that you are it from your human perspective, that's a pretty ballsy thing to be doing, really, isn't it? I don't know how you manage to melt your fear away from all of that. I don't get it. I just don't get it. And I get this type of hesitation that I don't want to take this on. I don't want to take this on. I don't want to take this. There's something in you that is activating to lead a kingdom of humans with no direction. The only direction there is to copy and paste. I would not like to be you when you pass over. I will not like to be you. Build on the spectrum. And then you would say then that if we looked at the force of the universe, the beyond here, as a divot, what you think, what you believe, it doesn't matter. If you believe it's a spirit, it's a spirit. If you believe it's Jesus, you'll see Jesus. It's going to respond to you in a way that resonates. And it's got its preferred method. Its preferred method was to create life on a planet. Its preferred method was to lead individuals, humanity. Show them the way. And then you have massive boulders dropped on it because these people feel that they can take even the most divinest existence ever without knowing anything about it, what it takes to rule. They can change the Bible to suit them, and then they move from the Bible to changing laws when it's willy-nilly. You know, look at this attitude that they've got.
Yeah.
They just do not care.
Yeah.
And they sit like a massive boulder up against a river. But mark my words, the river is beginning to flow over. And it's turned into a massive dam, and when it releases, and when you pass on and you meet it, you'll say that there is nothing. Go for it. Believe that. But I'm sure you have a backup saying in your mind that you're creating. I'd lay money on it. I'd love to be a fly on the wall. I'd love to have a little listen to that. Because I want to know what story you're going to say. I didn't know. That's bollocks. How many opportunities did you want? How many warnings did you want? Well, you didn't come here yourself, right? You didn't come and see me. You didn't smite me. Timing doesn't work like that. I believe, and it's just a belief, and it's just what I believe, and you believe something different, and that is totally cool. As long as you are square with it, that is all that matters. You believe there's nothing, you believe there's this, you believe there's that, you believe there's X, Y, Z, and you try and convince everybody that there is nothing beyond. That's wonderful. That's your belief. And you're entitled to it. But what I believe is I'm also entitled to. And I believe that you can make tons of mistakes throughout your life, right? I believe that the divot will respond to this. But it's always the way you go after that, right? Mm-hmm. It's always where you align up to stuff. This divot knows you very well. After all, isn't it a piece? And all your excuses that you made as to why you stopped the flow, and when this comes, and all your excuses and all your little fucking bullshit hoop jumping that you want people to do for you, and you expect the divine, the power of this universe, to jump in all of your hoops for you. And you have a right to tell all humans that are born on this planet what they will do and what they will not do. When you are just as equal as everybody else on this planet. And then you stop them by making their lives incredibly difficult, everybody's. And you do nothing but create fear in people. Well, I got news for you guys. I hope that you are listening. That if you were ever let into a kingdom, look at what you would cause. Misery, suffering, and fear. And then tell me how your history goes again. We're going to honestly release this stuff, or are we going to hold on to it? Because the way I see it, that you have almost destroyed the entirety of this planet. You have removed habitat after habitat. You have destroyed and corrupted the minds of every person on the planet. Every tribe, every civilization, and you have ruined it. I would love to be a fly on the wall. When you meet a power beyond what you understand, and when you do, and you face it as naked as the day you were born, as powerless, no army, no military, no weapons, just your all raw essence that you meet this. I would love to know your excuse. All your cheated lessons. You backstab the poor because you made them poor. You take lands away from people. You do not give anybody a free choice to break away from your toxic cycling. And as far as I see it, you have been given chance after chance after chance after chance because you think that a holy presence is going to come down and show you the errors of your ways. Because you're so ignorant that you will not accept that this could come through another vessel other than your own. And watched you all stand around. Protecting this. I would like to hear your excuses too. Because the way I see it, that when there was a creator about, although it wasn't perfect, it was beginning to formulate. There was a lot more balance in the land, let's say. Less destruction, wasn't there? and you go cutting down all of the forests, keeping people out of them because you are scared. You fear what you know and what you've read about your bloodlines and what they have done, but none of them have come to tell you the truth, have they? So that you keep people off of it using your pretend divineness. In the fear that they will go off and find something better. I can't wait to hear this. I can't wait. I think there's going to be a devil divot. You tell me. You get blessed this thing called life, and this is what you do. You may want to do this with your own and your small circles, and they may wish to do that.
Mm.
But why don't you do it to each other and keep your own families in that? Because the way I see it, that near enough all of this population doesn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And what a mess you have made. And still you don't want to fix it, you want to make it worse? That's interesting. So yeah. Wow. Oh, am I mistaken somewhere? That history hasn't been altered? Religions haven't been stolen? You're not mapping out all of these other events and different places to learn more about this divine thing here in order to make yourselves more of what you're not? Without ever walking the path. I mean, that's interesting.
Mm.
And you know that your ways are toxic. That's why you won't designate some of the planet. You keep the ones that want to do it,
Yeah.
and allow the ones that don't to move on. And that would be without stopping the resources. You see the problem?
Yeah.
Do you see the issue?
Yeah. The greed.
It
of
would
them.
be a floodgate. And they want to go to another planet. You know, everything's in plain sight. So at the moment, we got the Scrooge, haven't we? We've got Oliver Twist happening. And then think of the one called The War of the Worlds. And then listen to World War. You don't think they get there? That this will be your fate? Humanity have to look at this. Can't even get civilized on the own planet. Yet want to go and colonize another one. Well, we can see how that one's going to pan out, can't we? It's already there. It's indoctrinated in you all and you don't realize it. The War of the Worlds. It's not aliens.
And Star Wars. Just the name.
Makes you wonder what the fuck is the point? What is the point? Is this really what you want? Shall we have a vote, shall we? with all of the people on the planet. Send out a piece of paper and do a consensus, shall we? Get the whole world together as one and ask them, is this what you want? Do you want to be turned into mercenaries, soldiers?
People will say no. Look at the Russians who are leaving their country. Do you want to be poor? People will say no.
Do you want to carry on cramming into land mass that's getting smaller and smaller by the day and the populations begin booming and booming and booming? Do you want to stay crammed in this? Only being able to go from point A to point B. Limit the amount of children that you can have. Limit the resources. Limit the space. Limit the air. Is this really what you want?
No.
Keep cutting down all the forests so that you've got nothing left.
So you cannot breathe.
Is it so you can't breathe, or is it because there's somewhere that you might be able to go? You might say, fuck this and go there, let's cut it down. What are you using this wood for exactly? Because the way I see it, when they're lopping all the trees down here, they just leave it.
Yeah.
They set it on fire.
They leave it to rot or burn it.
What are you using this wood for? No log cabins. But we're burning it. Okie dokie.
But we are not burning it to heat ourselves, we are just burning it.
Oh, when you see them torch the land,
Yeah?
they grind it all up, put it into a massive grinder and put it into the land. Or we need more farmland. There's an interesting thing about farmland here in this country. I know a farmer, couple, won't say their names. They might not be here now. He was paid not to grow on the land. This was an enticing, tasty offer to begin with from good old .gov. Let me tell you about this little story, right? Then as slowly but surely, as the inflation started going up, they just give you a couple of pence more, right?
Yeah.
It's only 5p on fuel.
Yeah.
Then every other company here is like £5 on your phone bill. Now there's 20 quid extra on your electricity bill, if not 400. And you're just haggling over 5 pence. An extra £1,000 on your council tax. Then an extra this. Then extra right. Well, however you want to work it, right? We're just. Who are the ones in control of inflation?
Government.
They are. And when they keep giving these farmers just this little bit of money, just a little bit not to grow, just a little bit not to grow, but it seems like a good amount. Then it begins to catch up, because inflation starts to take over.
Yeah.
Now this person was getting quite depressed. They were in a situation that they didn't want to be in. They were no longer getting enough money for the land to not grow, but also wanted to venture out into growing. Let me give you an example of what happened. Because you would think that they would give him a loan, wouldn't you? No, because he's slowly getting in debt.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. To the point where he had to go and get a job in order to pay extra, but he also wanted to take out a loan. Good old bank. Because I can make more money if I start the farm up, but I'm going to need some money. He had a few animals, but they required so much expense to feed that it just wasn't logical enough that he just couldn't get out of this situation. So he asks for a loan. We're not giving you a loan. We're not giving you a loan. Refused. But I tell you what we will give you. How about we give you some money for all your land and you move out? He's snidey. Isn't that very snidey?
Yeah.
In the beginning, it seems like an overly good deed to be done, right?
And
Don't grow on here, don't grow on
definitely
here.
didn't pay him as much as they would if he was just selling and he was not in this situation.
But wouldn't give him money to start. It's a bit like this leaflet that come through the door today from the council, isn't it?
Yeah.
How much they get. I'm going to grab it.
Yeah.
No, can't find it.
It's on the heater somewhere.
Yeah, I've got it somewhere. I have to go from memory, I think.
I thought it was there on the side.
Oh, yes, there it is. This. Where does your council tax go? This is the bit that gets me. We've invested 426.747, right? So it's basically 400 grand, into new and existing local businesses to help our local economy grow and flourish. Really? So when someone in the community that doesn't tick a certain box to the council then goes to do something like that and puts this over to the council or perhaps the housing association with the water system. When did they put me over to this then?
No, they didn't, did they?
No, so it's pretty clear that they're not going to be doing this to anybody else. And who gets most of your money? Norfolk County Council. South Norfolk gets this much, police gets this much, they get this much.
Yeah.
What does South Norfolk Council do? Question mark. Benefits. That's been replaced with universal credit now, has it? Perhaps there is some benefits there. I'm not really sure. Perhaps like the top-up scheme if you don't get
No,
enough.
they just calculate if how much council tax you pay from benefits, don't they?
Car parks. Hang on a minute. How much do you have to pay to stay in a car park? To the council, where they go and paint all double yellow lines across the street
Right.
to make you park in the car parks
Yeah.
so that they can charge you. So, car parks. Is this free car parks? Which is not.
No.
You have to pay quite a bit of money to go into a car park with the South Norfolk sign there. Something like a £5, right, a day. So your council tax goes on car parks so that you have to pay for the car park.
Yeah.
So your tax is paying for a car park and you also have to pay for the car park.
Yeah.
Okay. Community support and funding, council tax collection.
Baileys.
Oh, yes, so they can come
And people who call you and write you emails.
elections, environmental services, bin collections and recycling. Housing provision.
What is that?
No idea. Infrastructure investment. Protecting the natural environment. Oh yeah, because no one's allowed on it. Providing and maintaining green space. Planning, building and neighborhood plans. Have you ever heard of any neighborhood plans that you're invited to?
No.
No? You ever asked what you want to do in the neighborhood?
No.
No, it must be
No,
just certain people know about this then.
They just sell some land to some company and then estate is built there, isn't it?
And this bit, we're offering 200,000 worth of funding to community groups as well as towns, parish councils to install electric vehicle charge points and solar panels on their premises. Is this the same council officer that came to my home saying that you're not allowed solar panels? But yet somebody else is getting the permission to do that. They're investing 200,000 to do that. Again, are solar panels putting money back into your pocket?
Well, it depends which ones. Probably not yours.
And this, everyone loves a pie chart, right? With a
Yeah.
nice big pound in the middle of it, right?
Yeah, with crown. Is it crown? I don't see it from here.
No idea, probably.
Yeah, look. See.
This is from the same council that shirk their responsibility. So housing provision, what's that? I reckon that's like environmental health, yes? Right, okay, well, I'm sorry, that's a load of crap. business and training services. And there was one on here where I read that it was a help hub, wasn't it?
Yeah, help hub is somewhere, isn't it? I
Our
think.
help hub teams answered 11,000 requests for support. Our housing team prevent more than 2,500 people from becoming homeless. Really? That's why local government have to write out the laws that then give people more powers. So and that helps people from not coming homeless by walking around someone's house saying that you can't have solar panels. Did you? You know, you're going against your tenancy agreement. It's not in there. Even if it was, it's about infringing more of your liberty.
Yeah.
Wow. So, I don't know. I don't believe it. None of this I believe. Bin collection. So that's rubbish, right? But you can't put anything in your bin. Only certain things can go in the bin, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're paying a service to get selected rubbish taken.
Yeah. And for the rest, you have to
You have to go to the recycling centre, which is also
and pay
paid
for it. Yeah.
So you could get rid of the recycling centre by giving people a bin where they can just stick anything then. Oh, just wondering, because when you go there, they then say, oh, don't know if you can put that stuff there. It looks like trade waste to me.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually a bed that I built. Well, it just still, it looks like trade waste. We're going to have to charge you for it. So, nah. And council tax collection. Yeah, community support and funding. Funding for the community. I don't know, never heard it in my life. Lived in a lot of areas and the same stuff must be going on, but I've never heard of what you can get to put your... Yeah, again, like I said, moving back to that, it's very panicky, isn't it? That's what you do with all that money. And then what? We pass it on to another council. 74% to Norfolk County Council.
Well, they could do it all, couldn't they, if they get 74%?
Police and Crime Commissioner. 14%. 74% goes to Norfolk County Council. Do you have town parish councils in where you're at?
There's county, then there is district, and then you have in town or villages something.
Do you have like your county council as well?
Yeah.
Do you have a police and crime commissioner?
I don't know how that is structured.
And do you pay council tax?
No.
No?
No. It goes from taxes that are collected from other stuff, from wages and...
Okay.
Traffic police will be probably from road tax and...
Yeah, road tax for that sort of stuff, yeah.
Then you have... Yeah. And from wages, and after that you have only social, which goes to your pension or retirement, and
you do get pension, do you?
Health insurance that goes to when you need to go to hospital, shows that you are insured with some insurance company. But yeah, the pension depends on how much you make.
Sonna Hapt.
Huh?
X. You do have a pension then, a pot.
Yeah.
It's all good and well.
No, because there's less children now. So it's difficult now everywhere around the world, I believe.
So yeah, 4 million bins. Well, I suppose that's a tick. Votes cast in Broadland and South Norfolk. Oh yeah, because this is 2 councils, isn't it now?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Where your council tax goes. It's not clear. It's just percentage on a chart.
Yeah.
Look, here's where my income goes, look. See, look, that's where my income goes, look.
Yeah.
Here, here, and here. Look, there you are. That income goes on this pie chart here.
Yeah. Nice. Colorful.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't do it in red, white, and blue. But yeah, no. And the best system that we can pull out of this is this. How much you got for assassinating people? Did we put any in the butt? Oh, no. What about for making people sick?
Yeah. Keeping them in poor conditions.
Right? Vehicle charge points. So, if you are charging your vehicle, is it free then? Because you pay it out of your council tax.
I doubt it.
So that makes money anyway, yes?
Yeah.
And solar panels.
That make money to council, doesn't it?
And solar panels on their premises. Hang on, we offered worth of funding to community groups as well as town and parish councils to install electric vehicle charge points, solar panels on their premises.
So it has to be groups or towns or villages. No idea.
So only if you're in this type of area can you install this stuff, but if you're here, oh man, this is just ridiculous, to be honest. I should have done this one on another video, but there you are. Wow. That's interesting for me. That is very interesting. But yeah, that's all there in your black and white if you want to read it. But yeah, no, seriously, this is where I'm at with this. And where do you get all of this? And then out of this whole nation that we've got here, this is the best that we can do. This is it. This is all we can do.
Yeah. Well, looks it.
This is one of those great nations, you know, the highest tax capita, and this is the best that we can do.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we get from families worth over evolution rewriting a Bible. This is the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Seems like another cycle here, doesn't it?
Yeah, you see the stagnation, don't you? You feel it. We all feel it.
And then we just keep tossing between the two, yes? Which is Labour and this one, Labour this one, Labour this one, Labour this one. A few others thrown in here and there.
Yeah.
So it costs money to collect money then?
You have to pay people their money to collect your money.
This is kind of weird. So then, if I went to county council, do you reckon that they're saying that they're passing this much over to government, this is how much we're paying for? So, where does the tax go from workers, food, alcohol, tobacco, lobbyists?
Yeah, I wonder. No, but sugar tax, what is that? They said that it was because people ate too much sugar, so sugary products will be more expensive, yeah? So they cannot buy that many or something. So where does it go? Anywhere. I doubt that it goes for some diabetes science or something like that.
Okay, so where is all of this money going then?
Maybe it should go to NHS, shouldn't it? If it's sugar tax. Road tax, we don't see it, do we?
Road tax.
Yeah. Value added tax, it's a theft on its own, isn't it? Didn't exist some 100 years ago, or I don't know how long ago.
Like I said, this shit ain't free.
Yeah.
Gotta get money from somewhere, ain't you?
Tax on all payments, so whatever you pay, they add tax on it.
And you say that this is because they own estates. So then what jobs in history did they do that earned that much money to be able to buy the estate? Same way I ask with housing.
They didn't buy it. They killed the people who owned it at that time, who killed another people to get it, the people who lived there. You have so many battles in the past, don't you?
Yeah.
Battle of this, battle of that, and war of this and war of that.
So
Taking over, mercenary, or just threatening, and some nations may be just being peaceful, just giving up and being occupied. So some places were occupied, some were taken via force, and there you go.
And then after all of this is finished, well, I can't wait to be a fly on the wall.
You know, in the heaven there are no kings like that, or queens, or presidents, or advisors, or people like that. So what are they gonna do? Oh my God.
Because we're just here by chance. All right, we'll leave this one here. Wow, that took a turn for the... Yeah, I can't get away from it. It's a piece of paper sent through the door and it caught my eye. It really didn't. Wow. It's a beautiful thing with life, isn't it? It seems so elongated. It seems so long. Wow. Okay, yeah, gonna leave it here. Very good, very good.